No, but for real, like you've literally blown us all away.
That
Any
was
questions?
amazing.
Yeah.
That was
Thank,
so good. Appreciate you guys.
thanks.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was fabulous. And Melissa, I mean, the concept of, think you need to do custom, it's like, well, you can still design custom. You just don't have to build custom.
Hello, Adam here, co-founder of Relume, and in this video today, I'm going to share with you a live build we did a couple of weeks ago of the dance.co website. Now we built this, or I built this using Relume library in under an hour on a live stream. So it got a lot of positive feedback, so we thought it would be worth sharing on YouTube. Shout out to Webflow Party for hosting this. Now Webflow Party is a community of designers and developers interested in no code. So if you are too, I'd recommend go checking that out and looking at the link in the description. But yeah, let's jump in and enjoy the live stream. I thought this would be a great website to build. It's quite nice and it's very component driven, I guess, too. So I'm gonna have a crack at building this in front of you guys. I reckon I can get this done within like the amount of time, but I'm curious, a website like this, and I can share it in the chat, I'm wondering how long it would take someone that I guess isn't like, I'm wondering how long it would take you guys to build this. Like, I'm sure people have different levels of experience. And some of you might not be using the library. So I'm curious to know how long, just between us, we don't need to tell the clients, how long would something like this actually take you guys to build? So I'll put it in the chat. It's dance.co.
Yeah, I think like if I were to build this from scratch, I would take about 10 hours at least. Oh, I just saw that I answered just to keep. But yeah, like 10 hours.
Okay.
Yeah, that's probably 2 days then. Two days of probably work. 10.
Correct.
Okay. No.
Interesting. Okay, so when I say that I'm going to build this in the Webflow Party, I don't mean that we're going to be on a 12-hour stream. I'm saying that I think I could do this in an hour using the Relume library. And so I want to sort of illustrate to you, or not illustrate is probably not the right word, but I sort of want to show you guys that I guess the power of using the library to increase your productivity, but also achieving like really high quality design. And so this is a nice website. So I'm gonna start the process. I'm gonna jump in and sort of go through this. And look, if this is really slow, I can jump ahead. I do have like stages that I can jump ahead to, but I'm just gonna start building and talk through that. And please, if anyone has questions, I'm reading the chat. Feel free to jump in and let us know. I'm sure something's going to come up where you guys are going to ask, okay, why did you do that? Or how did you do this? So yeah, let's get.
Yeah, we'll batch them. So like have the questions there, and then we'll batch after like a little bit of a block of building it, and we'll answer each question. So Adam, we've got 6:23. Oh no, it's not 6:23 a.m. on our side. The clock's ticking. Let's go.
Okay. All right. Sweet. So firstly, just want to say, if I was building this, I would have a split screen, just saying, but for this demo, I'm just going to do the tab thing. So it is going to be a little bit tedious, but I'm going to start. Okay. So the first step that I would do is, of course, I'm going to download the style guide. That's the very first step. And I'm always going to download the latest style guide because we do make slight changes to it. And so it's always good to have the latest version. We get a lot of like questions about duplication. And so class duplication is sort of unavoidable at this point. We're working on ways to avoid it, but it is unavoidable to a certain extent. But there are things that you can do to avoid it. And that is firstly by just having the style guide. So I've got the style guide. I'm just going to delete the intro copy. And so I've got a project ready to go. I can start pasting in components. The next thing that I'm going to do is I'm just going to like look through this website, and and start like just finding the components and copying them in. And so I guess this example sort of highlights that this is a custom design, right? I haven't designed this based off the library. In fact, I'm not even the designer. So this is a website that I'm coming in and it's custom and I'm about to custom build it. So, you know, when you think about templates, and I think components gets mixed in with this, people often think that it's not custom, but in fact, this is an example that this is a custom website and I'm about to build this custom website. So anyway, I'm going to go through. So I need a nav bar that like has a logo here and some buttons on the right here. So I'm going to go to nav bars. And I know because I use the library that navbar 1 looks like this, right? So that's the perfect navbar for this. So I'm just going to add that to the Webflow. And then the next thing was like a background video with some text centered aligned, and it just has like one button. So I'm going to go to hero header sections. I'm going to go text center align. I'm going to go background video, right? And then I'm going to go copy. And that is, let me put this here. Cool. And so I'm going to paste that one in. The next is we have, okay, so this component, I'm just going to inspect how this component works because it could be a background image, but from what I can see, that's an image. And if I look at the background of the section, I can see that this background, there is a gradient to this background. So what I'll need is essentially text with a list, a button, and image on the right. So I'm going to go find that, and I'm going to go to the feature sections. So the feature sections, I sort of want to rename this to general sections because the feature sections isn't just about, you know, features, product features. It's almost like it's like the type of components that can be used for how it works. It can be used like how it works sections. It can be used for a lot of different things. It's quite general. And so it's not just used for frequently feature sections, and there's 347 components just in that. So yeah, anyway, I'm going to jump in. I'm going to find, I think it was a list that I need with an image on the right. And see, that's the perfect one. So I'm just going to go and copy that. I'm wondering whether this one or this one. Actually, that's a better list because that has like the bullet points that come with Webflow, like the unordered list. So I'm going to go with this one, right? And I'm going to copy and paste that in. Okay, cool. And then we have 3-column with a button. Okay, sweet. So I'm going to go back to the feature lists. I'm going to clear all. I'm going to go 3-column. I need multiple images. And it's going to be left align. And so that is the perfect one for here. Now, this is where it's missing that heading. So this is where UI elements, which is what we just introduced, comes in. So essentially, this is gonna work for this layout, but it's missing this heading. So this is where I can go into UI elements, and I'll just open a new tab because I think about UI elements complementing the sections. So let's say I need that heading. I can go heading left align, copy that. And I can just go click in, drag that above, and now I have the heading there. And then I can go and remove some of the stuff that I don't need, like the tagline. So another thing is we try to include, like, you might be wondering why there's so many buttons, right? Or why is there a tagline on every single heading? Well, we think it's easier to remove something than to add something. So all it takes me is to just delete it. And so for the sake of speed, we're always thinking about what's the fastest way of approaching this. And so that's my explanation. And so as you see here, you won't need like 2 buttons every single time, but just having that option, it's very easy to just remove that. Okay, moving on. So the next part is I'm going to find, this is like the most basic component, which is actually, if you go to the feature sections, I think it's the very first one where you have text and an image. So I'm going to copy that one in. All right, and then we have, all right, so we have a bit of a different section here where we have a background image and we've got text on the left and the right. So this is where you can be a little bit more creative with Relume Library, because we don't have a component that looks like that, but we have components that are fairly similar. So I'm going to go firstly, text align left, 2 columns, and background image. And so what I think would work, because I already have like the grid set up here, is probably this component. That would probably be the closest out of these. So I'm going to go ahead. I'm just going to copy that one in. And then this section, again, I have to be creative here. I'm going to go with something that has 3 columns, but has text on the left. So I'm just going to change that to 3 columns. I'm going to remove the background image because I don't need that. And I'm just going to have a browse. Okay, this one looks good. Okay, and then the last couple ones, these are very straightforward. So we have a lot of FAQ sections. So this one's pretty straightforward. So text on the left, FAQ on the right. So I'm just going to go to the FAQ sections. And this is the perfect one for that. Going to add that in. And then I think lastly we have some testimonials, which is basically just 3-column grid, and a CTA and a footer. So I'm going to go ahead, I'm just going to add those in. There you go. This one's good for that. It's missing a heading, but I can just grab that heading from here. Drag that. Okay, and then I think I need a CTA with a background video and then a footer. So CTA sections. Text center. Cool. And then lastly, we need a footer. So the footer is like, it's quite basic, this footer, by the looks of things. I don't think we have anything that comes like is similar, but we have something that's going to get me like 50% of the way there if I just remove a couple of things. I'm going to go here. All right. And this doesn't belong in the main wrapper, so I'm just going to bring this out. All right. So at this point, and like I can like just delete this. This is sort of what I mean. I can delete this. I can remove this padding here. Just remove that. And like I'm almost there with this component. I just need to adjust some of this the flex here. Anyway, at this point, I have the foundations of this dance website. Now, the next step is that I would personally take before I start styling is to just add in all the content so I'm ready to go. And the reason why I do this in such like a linear process, or like I do this in phases, is one, just productivity. Batching tasks is a huge thing. I always try and batch tasks. So if I'm going to just be working on development tasks, I'm just going to be on development tasks, and I try to do all my client project developments at the same time. Like I try and batch tasks. So here's like a small example of batching a task. I'm going to try and do all the content at once. I'm going to try and then do all the styling at once. And that I'm getting that momentum. I'm in that mode of working. So that's just like a quick productivity tip. Also, it saves you time with class duplication. So if I were to just build each component at once and I'd paste it in, I had already styled it, you're going to get class duplication, because essentially Webflow duplicates a class that shares the same class name, but has different styling. So, you know, if you change the button and I go and paste it in, I'm going to get class duplication. So we all know renaming classes is, it's can be time consuming, not so much anymore, which I'll also show you. I'm sure you guys have seen and used the style manager, but that has saved me a lot of time. But yeah, so that's why I would approach it like this in phases. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to edit the text. So firstly, let's pause and I'll read through some of, I guess,
You
if
got
you
a few
guys have
questions,
questions, we can go through them.
We've got the highlights here. What about FinSuite's client first capability? I've been using that style guide recently.
Why did you create a different style guide from FinSuite? Okay, let's go. So how are we going to order this?
We'll start from Rob. So what about FinSuite's client first capability? I've been using that style guide and I'll.
Okay, yeah. So FinSuite's, there's two questions here. There's what about FinSuite's? If you're using FinSuite, you can select FinSuite's style guide. And so that will do the same thing, but it's using FinSuite's styling values. Why did we create our own style guide? If we were to go back in time, I probably wouldn't have done this. But in the beginning, I chose values that I thought made sense to our design process. And so I thought there was some gaps in like spacing values that FinSuite used. For instance, they don't use like a 24 pixel spacing, which is, I use that probably the most. And so just the little things like that, I thought, okay, I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to change the spacing myself, just the values. The idea and the methodology of client first and like the naming conventions, that's identical, fully bought into client first. But I did want some flexibility around, the values. Now, in saying that, I did not anticipate this being such an issue because a lot of people, I didn't realize that at the time of creating this, that a lot of people are using FinSuite. Obviously, they created it. And so it did cause a lot of class duplication because the values were different. And so that's why we've introduced, we basically adapted all our components to FinSuite's values. So if you are using it, simply just select the FinSuite style guide and it will adapt. So yeah. That's my explanation of that.
Other one, Adam, do you think capitalizing classes makes them a little easier to read? Since Webflow changes them to lowercase on published sites anyway.
So yes, but it's not too much of an issue, to be honest. Like it is client first. I guess the client first approach is to do it lowercase. I'm not like the best person to talk about client first. Obviously, FinSuite are the guys that have created this awesome framework. So yeah, I don't have strong opinions on that, if I'm being honest. I just stick to lowercase, and that's one less decision I need to make now. Stick to lowercase, always lowercase, and I find it easy to read. And yeah. So that's my answer to that. I do agree with you, but it's not too much of an issue for me.
All right, let's move to content. Let's go to stage 2.
Stage 2. All right. So I'm just going to do like a little bit of this and then I'm going to jump ahead because, I just feel like it'll make better use of our time. We can spend more time on the styling part. Okay. So let me just quickly go and refer to this nav bar. Let's build the nav bar. Okay, so I've got logo, and then I've got concierge rides. I've got like this little drop down and then a button. Okay, so it says concierge. So essentially I just need this. Geez, can't spell. And then I would probably use like Weglot for this, but that would require an integration, but I've got the foundations are there. And then I just remove this. I probably wouldn't need this in a button wrapper. And I just remove some divs. Actually, nah, button wrapper is good. It gives me a little bit more spacing here. And then start now. Okay, sweet. Now I'd probably also, just whilst I'm at it, make this absolute just to the top for now, because I'm gonna like knock back the background and then it will overlay on top of a background video. Okay, cool. Your future is electric. I'm just gonna copy and paste this. Your future is electric. Okay, so I'm just gonna adjust that. And then let's have a look at this, and then I'm going to start now. Cool. And then also like just looking at how they've sort of structured this, get your own, I think they've done it like this. Okay, cool. All right, so this I won't need, this I won't need. I'm just gonna remove these. This I'm gonna convert to ordered. And so how it works, pick your city, choose. Okay. You know what? Instead of me copy and pasting text and watching me do that, what I'm going to do is I'm not going to focus too much on the copy. I'm just going to remove elements. So I'm going to take this, don't need a bottom row. All right. And okay. Cool. So that was a start now. I think that was like a main button. So I'm actually just going to flip that to a button class. All right, sweet. So that said, move your way. Okay, so for this one, I'm just going to remove this button. Sweet. I'm just going to delete these items and I'm just going to reuse these items once I make some adjustments. So for this, I might actually just add this in here just for the sake of time. And probably, if I had more time, I probably wouldn't do this, but I'm just going to like do a bit of a hack, call this text label, right? Like I'd probably name it like client first way. So like for now, I'm going to keep the naming conventions the same, because I'm going to show you at the end a nice way of just changing all the class names at once. For now, I'm going to stick with what the component's called. And actually, I'll just show you now. So when it comes time to actually change it, so layout 253, right? I'm just going to write that in. And let's say I want to rename this client first way for my client, where I think it's just like all the bikes or like products, right? Let's say it's on the homepage products. I'm going to rename this whole section to home products. So then I can just go home products. And I can just do it all at once, which is pretty nice. So shout out to Webflow for this update. And so that's how I would approach it. So yeah, that's sort of why I'm saying it is good to keep it the same. Anyway, I'm just going to create a quick label here. Actually, no, because we're going to make it curved. Just for now, make it gray. Okay, sweet. So that's good. And then that's like the bike name, I'm pretty sure. So I get dance one step. Yeah, bike name. And then this had e-bike. I'm pretty sure it said that. Okay, cool. And then I might actually just adjust the margin here to margin XX more. Although I don't necessarily agree with the spacing options here. I feel like that button's a bit too close to the title of the bike. Personally, if I was designing this, I'd increase the margin there. But that is good enough. So that's see details. All right, so I just go boom, boom, boom. All right. Okay, this next one's quite straightforward. Very easy. And then see details. And then probably just remove this. All right, so this component, I do want to show you how I'd approach this component. All right, so massive text. This looks like it's probably like the largest text. Let me see. Yeah, so this would probably be like the same size as this, but this is not a H1. So this is where you would use like the class like heading extra large. So let's do that. What I'm going to do is I'm going to first just look at this components layout, and you have the content on the left div and content on the right div. And so I don't actually need any of these. But I'm going to keep the structure here. So I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to add a text block, and I'm going to call this heading extra large, and then text color white. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to right align the text here. And then I'm just going to basically copy and paste the cities. So, and this might not, this is going to look identical once we just add some styling. So, I think it said Paris, I think it said Munich, and something else. Again, way easy if I was split screening this. Okay, cool. All right, and then now I'm also going to align this to the bottom because that seems to be what's happening here, right? And there's actually a missing button here. So I'm going to jump over the UI elements. I'm going to go buttons, and I need this the button primary. And I'm going to add that to the content left. And I'm going to call this start now. And do we need this? I don't think so. Actually, we need some text there as well. So I'm just going to add some text. Wrap this in margin class with that margin bottom. All right, sweet. And then another thing I've noticed with this particular thing, and I guess this is a styling step, but I'm just going to add it here. There's like a bit of like a max width here. So your city is our city. So anyway, that is ready to go. Just needs styling. So that's how I've changed this. And then this is another section, which is, it's almost there. It's not quite there, but it's almost there. And to be honest, all I need to do is add in this image and in place of the icon, and we're sweet. And all, of course, adding in, removing these and adding in that button. So actually, let's look at this. So there's a start now button that opens a modal. So at this point, I need a modal. So I'm going to go to UI elements here. I'm going to go to modals. And this is actually the exact modal I need. So I'm just going to go copy that modal, and I'm going to paste that into here. I got the old duplication. I'm just going to like fix that. So when I do make styling changes, it adapts. And I'm just going to add a margin top to this. Maybe margin small's better. Okay, cool. All right, so let's test that now. Open it, well, move this, close, open, close. So that is perfect. You know, it's not identical in how it like animates, but that's the beauty of Webflow is you can jump in and you can make it exactly that. So it's just about getting you most of the way there, and then there's two of those. For now, I'm just going to leave this without a list because I'm going to add that in when I approach the styling. So you're in charge, and then just copy and paste. I think I needed that text. Cool. All right. So I'm going to jump ahead for the sake of time. I have created a version where we have the entire sections done. So let's imagine that we've just gone, we've just sped everything up. And so I've added the facts, and I've added this in, and then I've added the background, and I've slightly adjusted the footer. The footer was pretty straightforward. It's just about bringing the CTA into the footer, and I had to change the wrapper here, so I can actually just show you what I did. So essentially I had to just like create a wrapper here. I actually didn't, I should have named that. Again, I'm going to call this menu wrapper. Call this footer 4, because when it comes to actually naming this, renaming this to like footer, actually I'm probably just going to name this footer anyway. So I'm just going to change this to, just makes the renaming process much easier. Okay, so we can pause now. The structure of this website is there. All this needs is styling, and I would say styling is going to take half an hour. And so we're almost there. Question time.
We don't. I think we're pretty good at them.
Sweet. All right.
Let's see it. Let's press ahead. Let's press ahead to styling. People will see this stuff.
All right, sweet. All right, so let me just get my folders. I got the messiest desktop in the history, so I don't want to show you.
I can put 100 that mine is worse. For sure.
You know what I do? I'm sure, does anyone do this? I have like a folder when I get really like lazy that I just dump everything into it, and I call it sort. And I never sort it. Yeah, Penny? Yeah, Penny.
Maybe call it unsorted.
Ah, true. I never sort it. It's like, I don't know, it's a disaster. But anyway, everything's in the cloud, so it's all good. So I've actually like gone on this website and just like stripped a lot of their content. I'm not saying you should do this. I just did doing this for this example, which was like, to be honest, I just did it like inspecting it. This is a website that a lot of stuff was open to taking, but I sometimes do use, if I do want to like experiment with things, I do use this plugin. What's it called?
The one that takes everything.
Deeper, and it just gives me the assets, and that you can just download, which is pretty nice. Also, if I don't want to inspect and I want like a quicker way of approaching things, I use What the Font, which basically tells me the font family. And if I want to try a font out, I'm not using it to like, I'm just trialing it. Like, you know, sometimes when you're designing, you just want to see, or you don't want to buy it, you want like the sample. What I do is I would go like Everett, font, GitHub, right? And then I always find something on GitHub, and then I'll just download that and I'll use it. I don't have the licensing yet, but that doesn't matter because I'm just trialing it. And then once it comes down to it, I'll take the client through how to actually get it. But for the sake of speed, that's how I approach that. And then I've got a color picker. This color picker, I probably need to get a new color picker. It's called Colorzilla. I don't know, it can be quite buggy, to be honest. But for the most part, it works fine. Like to figure out this gradient, I'll use it. So it's like a little off, the aiming's a little off, but like all you need to do is click and it copies to your clipboard and you have that color. So anyway, that's what I've used to like get all the values, but yeah, I have it all ready to go. So let's jump into styling. So what I'll do is I'm just gonna like drag and drop, which I already have done, drag and drop all the content into here. So now I have everything in there, including like the video, the background videos, the logos, etc. Okay, now I'm going to then go to the style guide to kick off styling. I'm going to go to the style guide and I'm going to change the fonts. This is probably the most time consuming part, if I'm being honest, is the whole like fonts, changing of fonts. So just going through, I'll primarily just focus on, oh, by the way, guys, I was going to say I primarily focus on desktop, but like this thing's mobile responsive. Like we are ready to go, and it's going to look good on mobile. It might need like some tweaking, like the footer, for instance, and this component probably needs some tweaking. But for the most part, we have a like fully responsive website ready to go. So you don't even need to worry about mobile responsive or tablet, etc., which is super nice. So I'm not even going to consider it till the very end, and I'll probably spend like 5 minutes touching it up. All right, so I'm going to go through. I actually did before, just in preparation for this, I did just get all the font sizes, and I've also uploaded the font into here as well. So actually the next thing I'm going to do is go to body and just change the fonts to Everett. This is a website that just uses one font. And when I find websites that use one font and they pull it off, that's respect. I really appreciate just using fewer fonts. So, I mean, we try and do that with Relume. We only use one font. So I don't know, there's something about that. I'm like, oh, I love the simplicity of that. All right, so I'm gonna knock this back, letter spacing. I don't know, I find that fonts, from a design perspective, fonts usually have too much spacing between text. And this is like, I don't know the theory, there's no theory behind this. This is visually, I just think it looks better. And then when I actually look at their font, I know that they're doing this because you can see it's like, it's just tighter and it just looks better. So I'm gonna do that for every single font, heading. So I think we'll go with 6 rem for this. And then look, this is not pixel perfect either, guys. That's not the point of this. The point is to do a decent job within this stream. And I'm confident I'm going to be able to do that. Okay, so this one was like half the size. So I got to make that normal. And then on, sometimes I wish there was an easy way to do this. And then like the rest of the fonts are like pretty on point, like they're good enough. I just need to adjust the weight. Ugh. Uh-oh. There we go. All right. And then the kicker is that I have to redo this whole thing with the heading classes. All right, but this one should be easier because it's one less click, I guess. And then I think it went 0.02 EMs. So I'm just doing this almost, to me, it's like 2% in Figma. I usually just go minus 2% in Figma, and that's the equivalent. All right, sweet. And then this one was 4.5, normal. I probably won't even need to use these classes for this example, but yeah, all right, sweet. So the fonts are good. Now colors, I'm just going to change the font color. And what I'll actually do is I'll change the font color here. Actually, let's go to body, sorry. I'll change the font color here. There it is. But what I'll do is instead of changing like just adding another swatch, I'm going to actually just edit this swatch to like their version of black. So I actually have their version of black, but I'm referring to this color. So I'm going to go use the color picker. See how the point is just like not, oh, there it is. So that's that. And I'm going to change the value here, right? Save. And now my black, including like the black I use for the button, has been converted, which saves me like a lot of time as well, which is nice. And there's actually a gray as well, which I'll probably just go to light gray. See, by the way, guys, this style guide's pretty hard to edit. Not gonna lie, there needs to be a lot of improvement, and it was actually voted. We do like a monthly vote on what people in the community want to see from the library, and improving the style guide was one of them. Part of that will be improving the user experience of editing this style guide. So we're going to focus on making it like way easier, because like, for instance, if I go and click the background color here, I open a padding div and then I need to like navigate my way through the navigator to find the actual class and then change it. So things like that, we're going to improve. And so for the gray, I actually already had this here. I'm just going to replace the swatch with, oh, wrong one. Cool. So it's like, it's a bit of a different gray. These subtle design things, they matter because, you know, the gray, this is a good example of like a good design technique, right? So like Dance's primary brand color is purple, right? So if you're using purple as like your brand color, your blacks and your grays, your neutral colors, they need to be more of a cooler tone rather than a warmer tone, because purple is more of a cooler tone. It's more related to like a blue per se than a red. And so using color tones that, the color temperature that is related to the brand color is very important. And so instead of having a gray that is like more, I guess, a reddish gray, they've gone with a gray that is more on the blue scale or the purple scale. So literally what you can do is you get the brand color and then you just drag it over to the gray or the blacks. And so that's clearly what they've done. And it just creates, from a design perspective, creates more chemistry better chemistry between the colors. And it just feels much nicer. So that's what they've done here clearly. All right, so the buttons. Buttons are, I've already inspected them, so I'm going to jump ahead, but they do have like that, so they're rounded, and they actually use their purple for that. So their purple was here's. All right, so that's good. And then I'm going to apply the border. So why do I apply border to a color, to a button that doesn't even show the border? Well, it's just for consistency with the secondary button. So if you have a primary button and a secondary button next to each other, you want them to be the same height. And so adding like a border to the secondary color, but not the primary, the secondary button, but not the primary button, would make the secondary button, if it was a 1 pixel border, it'd be 2 pixels taller. So I always like consider like what the secondary button looks like. And so that's why there is a border for buttons, even if the button is like one color. On top of that, there's some nice little hover states and adjustments you can make to that, where maybe you just want to like not, you want to keep the border outline when you do hover, things like that as well. But yeah, that's not as important. Okay, so for this,
I wanted to tell you something. I'm
Sure.
loving the design tips in between.
oh, awesome.
Like
Yeah, cool.
amazing.
Yeah, awesome.
I think everybody else
To
is
be
loving
honest
them
with you,
too.
like design is my background, not development. So, you know, go to other people like FinSuite for development tips, but definitely I take design pretty seriously. So I'm glad you said that, because I enjoy it. I enjoy sharing my, I guess, design tips. All right, let's continue. So this actually has, these buttons are real fat, which I like, because the reason why I like these buttons being so like large is that they're different to what you would usually see, and they sort of stand out. So I like that they've made that design choice there. And then I think it was like 1.25 here. Oh, and another thing, by the way, that I do, I know FinSuite's sorted this out with their pixel converter, but like if I'm going to go and inspect this element, I'm going to see like, sorry, let's do this. I'm going to see like how they've done the padding on this button. So they've done 22 pixels, 54 pixels, right? This is in pixels, not rems. So a quick way that I do it would be like 22, right? So let's say if it's pixels, right? I go 22 divided by, or like slash 16 rem, enter, and that's converted me to rem. So you don't actually need to do the math. You don't need to like open up your Spotlight and do the math like what's 22 divided by 16. You can just enter it in and Webflow does it for you. I'm not going to use 22 pixels because another thing about this website, which is cool because we're going to achieve the exact same thing, is that it has fluid responsiveness, which is super nice. So like the actual padding of that button seems to change. So it's not fixed at like 22 pixels. So I've just chose something as like what I think is a good starting point. And then when we add FinSuite's fluid responsiveness, we're going to achieve that effect. It's going to be beautiful. Okay, so font size, they have gone with a big font size here. So this button is huge, but that's what it is. Okay, and then sorry, the height is 1, so 1.5. Instead of using rems or pixels for height, I find using like 1.5, which is equivalent to like 150%, is way easier and way more scalable than like for every single heading. You have to go, oh, what should I do for this heading? If it's 80 pixels, I'll make it 64. Like, I don't even know what people do, but I just go 1.5. 1.5 means 1.5 for, okay, these are my design tips for text typography. For headings, I keep them tighter. So like a H1 to about a H4, I'll do 1.2, which keeps the heading really tight. These guys, I think, do it even tighter. You can see how tight that is. And tightness looks really good for headings. But for like paragraph text, I'll use a 1.5 or a 1.6. And that's because when you're reading tight text, it's really hard to read. And so you want to like have some breathing room there. So I'd go for like a 1.5 or 1.6. For like smaller, like heading extra small, for heading medium, heading small, heading extra small, I'll do about 1.3 or 1.4 as I go down the list. So yeah, that's how I approach spacing, which is built into Relume library anyway. So yeah, you don't really need to think about that too much. Okay, so the next button is, I'm just going to quickly do is button small, just because like we're almost there with that one. So that's just like 3 rems. I'm just going to bump this up a little bit just because I think it's a little bit tight there. And then button secondary was same spacing. So no, I think it was a little bit smaller, which is, I'm not a huge fan. I actually feel like this could have been a developer's, the developer didn't quite, what's going on? It looks huge. Wait, haha, wrong. So the developers made this text 16 pixels, which is interesting considering that the other buttons have such large text, but maybe it is intentional. But yeah, let's see it. It's looking a bit bigger. Okay, sweet. I think that's good. I think that's all we need. Let's refer to it. Yeah. So, okay, this button has a icon. Icon button's coming soon, but for now, we're basically there. All right, so now the fun part, jump back in and let's begin styling. Okay, as you can see, this H1 doesn't have like it's using 1.2, but it needs to be tighter. It needs to be a 1 to replicate what they've done here. And for this font, it works. So it's all about, I guess it's all about the fonts here. Depending on the font that you're using. Just bump this up. All right, sorry, I'm jumping around here. Let's start with the nav bar. So the nav bar, I'm going to remove this border. I'm going to make this transparent. I'm not going to do the animations for now, just because we don't need to do that just yet. And I'm going to just, probably not best practice, but for the sake of speed, this. And then I'm going to replace the logo, which is hidden there. And I'm going to call this navbar 1 logo. And then just for the sake, I'll actually need to, part of the interaction here is there'll need to be like some kind of filtering. So what I'll do, what I think would make sense is I'm going to filter invert this logo. And sorry, let's go images HTTP. And then I'm going to make this height of this probably like 5.5, right? And then I think I'm just going to quickly just see. Yeah, so this is 20 pixels. Again, I can just go 2016 RAM, right? And then for this, it was also 20 pixels, which is 1.25 RAMs. And then there's a bit of a background color to this. Drop it back. And then I assume that they're using like a background filter drop because they have used this, sorry, below, yeah. So I'm assuming they've done that here because they sort of use this like background blur drop anyway. So I'm assuming they did that with this. And so done. How good's that? Now, navbar done, it's mobile responsive, we're good to go. Now, the background for this is, I'm going to go to the background layer. I'm just going to upload the video. Cool. Whilst I do that, Webflow is telling me I can keep designing. Thanks, Webflow. And I'm going to go to here. And so this background video has an overlay. So most background videos will have overlays so that you can make, so that you can read the text essentially. Now this is using like the black, 00 black. So I would actually adjust this to the black that is used on the site to again match the temperature of the other colors. And I'll knock this back to, I reckon 20%, but we'll only know once we see this with the video. But it is looking good. All right, so for this section, let's edit this. I'm pretty sure it's pretty large text. So it's like, yeah, it's like pretty huge. So let me just bump that up. I'd say it's about 1.75 RAM. Right, and so I'm just going to adjust this because that doesn't look right. All right, sweet. Now this, from the looks of things, needs to be like margin XX, maybe margin X large. Just like referring to how much gap they've put. And again, I wouldn't make this design choice, but this is how they've done it. And they've also bumped up the margin top. So I'm just going to make this like margin medium. And so this button is actually the button class. So I'm going to change that and start now. Cool. All right. So next up, I'm just going to move this across a little like this. I think that will work better. And then probably next thing that I'll do on this is I'm going to create that gradient. So I'm going to make this a background image, linear, and I actually have the values in another screen. So I'm just going to copy those in to save us time. Sweet. All right, and you know what? The padding for this is tighter than what I have here. That's not a big issue. Probably that works. That's probably best. Okay, so for this is a bit tricky the way they've done this, because I mean, there's a few components we could use within the Relume library to achieve this. I think this is still the most ideal, but obviously this is like almost full bleed to the right here, but then you have page padding. So the way that I would probably approach this is I'd call this layout 19 image, right? I'd make this relative. Where are we? I'd make this relative because I'm going to do an absolute positioning of this. So actually, let's get this image ready. Okay, so that's what it looks like. But now I'm going to do absolute, relative, yep, absolute. And I'm going to make this about 1080 pixels, which probably converts, if we want to convert it to rems. And then I'm going to give the image wrapper some height here to do this. Okay, and then it's sort of like a trial and error thing. That's not perfect, but I think with a wider container, which I think this website uses a wider container. Again, this is like a fin suite, decided what the container is. I mean, it's never going to work for every single website, so you do need to change values. What I would consider container large for this website would probably be closer to like 86 rems, just to make it a little bit wider. And so, you know, that's good enough for now. Cool. All right, I could probably bring this in a little bit more. See what, no, actually leave that, bump this. Sweet. All right, cool. So that's good. Let's go back. And so let's just demo this. Let's see how close we are. How are we traveling with time?
We never have a problem with time, so
Legend.
we're fine. This is so awesome. And I feel like those little feature sections, they're so simple, but you kind of get stuck into like the perfection of like making them, you know, like, should I move this? Should I move that? Like then like responsiveness, it's just crazy.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, the idea behind these components is that they're intentionally simple and unstyled because we didn't want to create extra work trying to unstyle them. So the idea of Relume library isn't to take away the craftsmanship of design. I've said this before, but it really isn't. It's about actually you being able to spend more time on the design. When we first started the styling, we had like the foundations there. It's now you have more time to be like, okay, how can I make this design like super awesome? How can I make it even better? What are some like interactions I can do that take it to that next level? But anyway, so this is what we've built so far, right? And then this is dance. So like, and mind you, we haven't done, I haven't added the responsive, fluid responsive. So let's use FinSuite. Shout out to FinSuite for this awesome feature. I'm going to copy this clipboard. I'm just going to add it to the page here. Save in the head, publish, right? So currently not fluid responsive, right? But soon to be. Yeah, that's published. Look at that. So perfect. So that is good. It is probably a little wide, the container. So I'd probably like, these are like the little design tweaks you can do at the end, but I'd probably, oh, no wonder. I had 8086 RAM. Yeah. So that's going to look much better. There we are. So like, man, very similar. Okay, let's get back to it. Now for this section, I'm going to use, this is going to be pretty straightforward. So I'm pretty sure, yeah, so this would be like a text size medium. So I'll change it to that. I'll add in the content now, what it says there. Yeah, I'll leave it as that for now. Okay, so again, I'm gonna just remove these items for the sake of speed. Once I style this, I'm just gonna copy and paste it across. So firstly, let's look at, wrong one. Now I'm getting confused. Okay, here we are. So you have just the button. So I'm gonna add the images. I'm gonna add the first image. There it is. And I'm gonna add the background. And then I'm just going to add some padding here. So I reckon it's about 2 rem, 1.52 rem probably. Again, I'm just estimating. Yeah, I reckon it's about 2 rem. All right. And I reckon it's about 16 pixels radius, so 1 rem, and make that white. Cool. I need to get rid of this. This needs to be absolute. Okay, cool. And then for this, it was the purple. Let's see if I can get the shade here. Yeah, I'm just gonna do the purple and then make it opacity. And so that's close enough. It's not perfect because, yeah, I guess if I wanted to really know, I would open it up and look at that. Okay, so dance one step, e-bike. E-bike could be bumped up to text size large, I feel. One step, dance one step. Was it dance one step or one step dance? Yeah, dance one step. Cool. All right. Then copy this item across. Let's then adjust this to 1 rem and replace the images. Also, just go 100% width on this. Place the images. I don't know the difference between those two images, but there is a difference. All right, so how we're going, that looks pretty good. That section's good. I have noticed there is a horizontal scroll as a result of what I've done here. So I'm actually just going to go to this, this section and do overflow hidden so that doesn't happen. And also, I think I need to adjust this. There we are. Cool. All right, this section is a breeze. I'm going to knock this back. And then I'm just going to replace this image with the image. And then I'm going to call this image layout 1 image. And then I'm going to give this 1 rem. And then I'm going to make this a cover. So that works best. Let's see. See details. Yeah. Okay. Again, this font, it's tighter than I had anticipated. So I'm going to knock that back down to a 1 and see details. All right, moving on. Let's do the background for this. Okay, so the background is in this here. Let's do it. So there's an overlay, it's a little dark. So I'm going to just knock it back here to like 10%. And then I'm going to use heading extra large here. Text color white. It's probably, well, I don't know, maybe it's quicker to just go like this. All right. Need to change this to button. This background needs a bit more of an overlay. So overlay layer. Yeah, that's good. All right. And I feel like this is, all right, cool. So that's looking good. We're almost there. It's just a matter of now doing this modal. We can jump into that. let's look at what I'm doing here. All right, so this modal is like the invert of this. So what can I do? I might actually just copy and paste it from above. Curious who else, I guess, I'm wondering if other people do this a lot in Webflow. So do you have like similar items that you see from different pages and it's a lot of like just copy and pasting, or are you building more from scratch? Curious to know if you guys, yeah, if you guys do this. I probably will rename this to layout 253.
Everybody's saying copy paste for sure.
Yeah, it's like, it's definitely a thing.
Yeah.
Layout 253 copy for now. Sorry, it's a bit of a hack this, but all for the sake of speed. So this said start now, I'm pretty sure, which opens up. And then this had that gray background, right? So then now I could just delete those and match. Pretty sure it was tighter spacing here. So just matching that. Sweet. And do I have the right bikes here? Okay, scooter. Yeah. All right, sweet. Okay, so that's good. Now I have to go ahead and I might skip this, to be honest. I'm sure you guys, like, that would take me not that long, but I'm just going to skip it and jump into building this modal, editing this modal. So let's open this up and take a look at what this modal currently looks like. So there, with our modals, there's always a background overlay in the background, so you can utilize, like, I find it's just much nicer to have like a background overlay that sort of like fades in, so you can like edit that however you like through interactions. This isn't going to be like an interactions tutorial at all. I'm just going to stick with what we've done here. I'm not going to change it too much, but I am going to just change the design and just sort of understand what they've done here. So where do you live? Okay, so it's just asking where do you live? And probably just do this for the sake of ease. Where do you live? And then they have like a form, right? A drop down. So we want to replace this. This div is there to be replaced. So within that modal, going to do probably, I could create a form here. I could create a drop down. Depends what the implementation of this thing is. But yeah, you can imagine that form being there. Okay, so that looks good. How are we going for the design of this thing? We can replace this icon if we really want to achieve what they've done here. I probably would do that, but again, that's pretty easy. I'm just going to finish that essentially. So you could imagine there'd be a drop down inside of that. And so, you know, done. Cool. And then the FAQ. Let's do the FAQ quickly. Wait a minute. Changed it already. Sorry, I had changed this around already to have the icon. It didn't come like this, but it was an easy change. I've just moved the icon here to the left. It was on the right. That's an easy change, but we want to convert that to a plus. I think it was like 18 pixels was like the perfect height for that. And so just adjusting this. Let's refer to, yeah, so they have a line color. I'd say it's probably like 65%. Yeah. Personally, I'll drop this back way back. I think it's too dark. I don't think you need to be this dark. I think that looks better personally. And then we have the text is like a text size large, I'd say. Another thing that I would recommend if I were to improve this design is that for the body text, I would drop the shade down a little bit more to create a little bit more hierarchy, which I don't think they've done here. They might have. I think it just appears that way because another technique is to use the weight of the typography to create hierarchy. I'm not a huge fan of that technique because I feel like just some of the light-weighted fonts like this are a little hard to read. So yeah, that's what I would do. I would probably like make all paragraph text, ensuring that it's still accessible. I'd drop it down like a slight bit. So yeah. Cool. Want to know more, learn more? Yeah. A little bit more padding here. So bump that up to a margin medium, right? And we're good. All right. So I've added in that like these are like done with the changes to the fonts, which is super nice. And then for this background video, I've actually got the video file, which is pretty sick. I'm just gonna upload that. Cool. And then change the font, the dance logo. All right. So not backdrop. This is a lazy way to do it. I'd probably just export for this one, make it white, and yeah. All right, sweet. All right, so let's publish this thing and see what it looks like. Have I done everything? Yeah, virtually. It's virtually finished.
Much. It's like 90% there.
It's 90% there. Like you can spend the rest of the time really touching this up. And like now you have the time because it's taken you
an hour and 10, but that's including chat and that's not deep work. Like if you're just doing this on your own, not talking about it, easily shave off.
And 10. Split screen saves a whole lot of time. Okay, cool. So this is what the website looks like. Okay, no, that's not the website. That's the original website. All right, sweet. So let's look at original. Need to make that fixed nav. All right. And by the way, that logo is wrong. So I would change that, but my logo is wrong. But this is my version.
There you go. Do you want to show the other one, Adam? Like when you added the last one?
This is so wild, guys. No, but for real, like you've literally blown us all away.
Oh, awesome.
Because it's like it's not a simple website. I mean, it is, but it's beautiful. You know what I mean? And like you did an hour and 10 minutes.
This is where I think like get good at design, because where the web development space is going is it's going to get easier to develop these websites. And where I think the real magic happens is in the design. But I have a biased perspective, of course, because I have a design background. But yeah, you're right. It's such a nice website that it's so premium. Like this website, people would have charged 50 grand or 100 grand for this website. For this page alone would have been 20K, not including the content creation. So,
that's true. From the agency perspective, like if I were to sell this, it would be around 10 to 15 US.
That's what I was just going to ask.
For a single page, right?
Yeah, for sure. If we custom designed it.
Yeah, and a lot of the pricing would go probably towards the design, but also the development. Like, anyway, I don't need to keep banging on about this. I think it's pretty obvious that I've just shown you that I've built a page this quickly. Now, I guess if you're not using the Relume library, I'd be curious to see how long this would actually take. But yeah, I mean, this is the benefit of using it. Like, it's sort of a no-brainer. If you're making money from your time. So if you're selling services, web development services, and you want to just make more money, or at least have more time in your life to take on and possibly even take on more projects, or possibly take time off, then like here is essentially, I know this sounds like a hard sell, but I'm just being.
Yeah. It's funny because we still use it ourselves, and we talk to each other about it, and we're honest with each other. Like, man, like this actually saved us so much time. So it's crazy how it's like it. Even still today, when we use it, Adam and I have these conversations, and it's crazy. But
Well,
yeah, again, that's because of context, right? We have an agency, we did this stuff, and we continue to do this stuff. So we're always iterating, and we're always thinking of ways to improve our time, which is naturally something we pass on, right? So
yeah, I have been using it for a while now, and I see myself using it more often. And I was the type of person that I was like, oh, I really want to do everything custom and everything perfect from myself. And now I use it a lot. And it saves so much time, when you want to do a nav bar. I just found out about the UI thing, which thank you.
Yeah, we just released that. So that's a new feature. But we're going to be optimizing that. Like, eventually when you click a component, it's going to say like, here is some like relevant UI elements for customizing it. So if you need to do a quick switch, they're just there. And also UI elements in like a Chrome extension, to me, makes sense. Right. Yeah. So like things like that, is we're going to continue to test it ourselves with our agency, and continue to make improvements to it. And also the Relume library wouldn't be the Relume library without the community. And I'm not just saying that. The community has just given us so many good ideas, like, and we're going to continue to listen to them, and improve it. So yeah, if you're not in our Slack channel, join the Slack channel. We listen to everything everyone says. We give you a chance to vote and tell us what you want us to do. And yeah, if you're not in it, I would recommend joining that too. There's also a pretty nice network of people. So yeah.
Wow.
Thank you.
Hell
Um,
yeah,
so
dude.
awesome.
That
Any
was
questions?
amazing.
Yeah.
That was
Thanks.
so good. Appreciate you guys.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was fabulous. And Melissa, I mean, the concept of, think you need to do custom, it's like, well, you can still design custom. You just don't have to build custom. That doesn't have to be part
Exactly.
of the process.
Exactly. Which is
Exactly.
just so time consuming, you know what I mean? Because when you
Yeah.
start with the blank Canva, it's like you have to do everything, you know what I mean? So at least to have something to start with that just saves you hours, because when you think about it, when you're setting up layout, that's really most of the time. Once you have your layout set, it's just dun, 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 going, you know what I mean? Border, color, font, or whatever. But just to have that basic of layout is so important.
If you have made it this far, I just want to say thanks for watching. Now, we'll be creating some more videos on how to build faster and design better in Webflow. So if that's what you're into, make sure you subscribe to this channel and give this video a like and leave a comment if you enjoyed this live build, because we are thinking of doing more in the future. Anyway, if you wish to watch the full version of this video, make sure you check out Webflow Party, and see you next time.